Every business, no matter the size, needs a strong marketing strategy to scale.
Today, we're diving into smart marketing strategies to grow your business effectively.
Hello and welcome to Business. My name is Francis.
And my name is Penny. And for today's episode, we have a very special guest. We have Virtual Solutions Marketing Director Rom de Leon in the house.
Woo!
Should we I want party poppers every single time I introduce a guest. Rom de Leon is a marketing whiz with over 10 years of experience who turned a philosophy degree into a powerhouse career. Rom has since built and scaled marketing teams, processes, and campaigns from scratch, helping outsourcing companies attract clients from various marketing channels.
Get ready for straight shooting advice on how to level up your marketing game. Whether you are a newbie or a seasoned pro, Rome delivers no nonsense, straightforward marketing advice that helps businesses refine their strategies or kickstart their marketing strategies the right way. Hello, Rome!
Hi,
Hi,
hello.
Rom.
Hi, happy to be here.
Oh my God, we are so excited to have you here. And for everybody else, we will be covering everything from building a strong online presence to use data driven strategies that can take your business to the next level.
So don't forget to subscribe and let's dive in. Do you remember way back when we started Virtual Francis?
I do.
We didn't even do any marketing.
I feel like I
The one thing that
always. Oh no, sorry. Go. I was just gonna say. I feel like I always think about where we are versus where we started. So I know where you're going. Please
yeah.
continue.
No. I remember we didn't do any marketing.
Mm.
So we're just sort of started with all word of mouth, but we did know that we needed a website, right?
And Facebook.
We did. Yeah, and Facebook. I think those are the two things that we did just to have some presence online. We knew that clients might look for us. And do you remember those nights when we're trying to figure out how to use WordPress and trying to just write copy? There was no AI back then.
There was
So
no
it was
AI.
all us.
Everything was no. I remember dreading every paragraph that started with lorem ipsum. Right now I could because everything was a place. I feel like Rome's laughing. I feel like throughout your career you had to deal with a lot of lorem ipsums, but yeah, that is the truth. When we I feel like everybody seems to think, oh, we'll put up a website. And I feel like we had a few clients who've been
Mm.
doing that way. Oh, just put up a website and say, okay, we need the copy. And like, oh, yeah, just copy. Honestly the hardest. It's honestly the
Just
hardest thing, trying to come up with 8 pages of copy before.
yeah, and I think and, since we didn't know a lot about marketing and a lot of marketing concepts, it was just that we didn't even think about the audience or how we should be writing it. Because you and I, well, you write more than I do. I think around that time. Now I write a lot, but that time you write a lot more than I do,
I
and we
was
didn't even
traumatized and
think about
never
target
wrote again.
markets. But yeah, and now in like now it's like what Virtua is doing. It's so far from where we started, and I think it's all because of Rome. Well,
Yes.
actually, we did have a marketing team before Rome, and that's all where it started. But it's also very different now with Rome.
It's because it was a different approach we had. Of course, marketing has
Mm,
different disciplines, right? But anyway, wait,
yes.
before we even continue, I wanted to like say hi to Rome. I maybe give us your quick piece. What was your I guess it turned the question back to Rome instead. What was your uh experience when you started with virtual? Was it a nightmare? Was it like, what am I doing here?
Are you sure you want to ask that question,
I
Francis?
know, but I should.
But maybe let's, you know what? So you were in the safe side. What do you think about like how we started with marketing or how you picked up the marketing strategy for virtual when you joined?
Yeah, when I joined Virtua, there wasn't a lot of things going on. We went back to the basics basically. I started,
Mm-hmm.
evaluating everything first from the ground up, see what we're doing, see what's currently working, and then doubling down on that and exploring other channels, other I would say other means to do marketing. So when I joined,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things to figure out, a lot of people to train, to get used to the way marketing actually works, the processes,
Mm-hmm.
the standards. So everything has to be built from scratch, and I'm pretty used to that. That's my I would say my expertise. Building from the ground up. But it was, and it's been a very exciting experience for me to build this team, build the marketing strategy of Virtua, and see really how it grows from there. So yeah.
Mm. Okay, I mean, thank you for saying that. We're excited to have you on board. At the back of my head, I was like, is she just saying that she's excited for us because she's talking to the CEOs? But no, knowing Rome, I don't think so. Because we did like grow a lot since
Yeah.
then, right? But Rome, I mean, when we started, that's all we knew, right? Like all we knew was that we needed a website, we needed socials and things like that. But let's go back, and you said going back to basics, right? Let's go back to basics. Why do you think is marketing so essential for a company that is trying to scale?
You see, marketing directly drives revenue. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
A business cannot
Yeah.
grow if there are no new customers coming in. And marketing
Mm-hmm.
generates that demand, that nurturing of leads and converting them into paying clients. So when
Mm-hmm.
revenue comes in, when they come in, you also have to make sure there is retention within your client base, and that's also a marketing job. Building relationships with
Okay.
them through engagement, education, and personalized experience with your brand. In the case of Virtual, we have to make sure that we also take time to get to know the client, and see where
Mm-hmm.
we can help them further more than what we are already doing. So yeah, marketing directly drives revenue and growth and scaling in businesses, I would say.
But Rome, have you experienced in your career, before we go on picking your brain about the expertise? Have you ever experienced in your
Mm-hmm.
life where marketing was seen as, so I know you said it drives revenue, but I think the traditional thinking is that marketing is cost. So,
Yeah,
have you,
as an
yeah, have
expense.
you ever experienced where marketing was like, you know, it's needed, but it's hard to push because people are saying that, oh, but it's added cost and we can do something else. Have you ever had that kind of experience?
Definitely, definitely. I've had a lot of experience with business owners saying, "Oh, it costs a lot. Why does it cost this much?" And with that, I always say, "Well, you'll see when down the line, you'll see how it's adding value to your business compared to the cost that you're going to spend and the cost that will come in, or the revenue that will come into your business. It kind of cancels it out, right? So it's you don't need to live you don't have to love marketing basically, but you have to learn to live with it. You have to learn that it is an
Oh my,
investment rather than an expense to the company, to
I
the
love
business.
that.
I love that.
I
I think I understand what the
Yeah.
conventional wisdom is, right? Because if it's sales, if it's sales, you make a call, somebody says yes, the revenue is instant.
I think for sales, the action is so close to when you're getting the revenue, right? Like
Yes.
you do an action, you do the cold call. Once you close it, you know that there's revenue coming in.
Yes.
As opposed to or compared to marketing when it's sometimes more of a
It's
long
a long game.
term or a long
Yeah.
game. Yeah, it is. So I think so we talked about this like marketing is most of the time seen as an expense. So what do you think, Rome? What do you think is the mindset that a business owner should have when it comes to marketing?
I've seen many business owners adopt this, set it and forget it kind of mindset, where they assume that
Mm,
where they assume that just because one thing worked at one time or at one point, it will continue working at all times. Pretty soon they discover that the business grows, their audiences change, their competitors shift, there are new technologies that emerge. So, what worked before might not work again. So it
Mm-hmm.
might stop producing results. So for me, instead of investing in what worked on the short term, business owners should focus
Mm-hmm.
on sustainable growth. This means constantly testing,
Okay.
optimizing, and being willing to pivot when necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So in marketing, you really need to roll with the punches, I should say, in scaling marketing efforts. Because that's the only way you can stand out in a very, very crowded marketplace where everyone is doing all sorts of marketing tactics. So you really have to,
Yeah.
pivot and
Right.
change and see what works
Right.
and, try to improve on that. So yeah, I would say that's the mindset.
But yes, I want to pick Rome's brain and say, from Rome's perspective, what would you say are essential marketing strategies for, starting and scaling your business?
Okay, so the first one you want to do is build a brand strategy or a brand identity, right? This is key to attracting and retaining customers because it builds trust, it reinforces your value as a brand or as a company, and it creates a strong emotional connection with your audience. And I say emotional
Mm-hmm.
because that's what really sticks. That's what really sticks to your with your audience. Actually, it's not what you do. It's really how they connected with you emotionally. Did they feel happy when they saw your post? Did they feel sad? Did they feel anything? Did they feel, I don't know, scared or afraid that they might be missing out on something? So that's really the key, actually. So a well-defined brand message immediately communicates who you are, what you offer and why it matters. It nurtures emotional loyalty, not just transactional things, because customers don't just buy from you; they connect with your mission and values. So that's where brand positioning comes in. It simply is carving out a space in your audience's mind and ensuring that every touch point with your brand reinforces your identity. So every time they see your post, every time they see your ad, there has to be some sort of connection with them, and you build that
Mm-hmm.
through brand positioning. So yeah.
I feel like I've never
Every time
connected
someone
with that more now than ever, especially when you
then
see people. The choice to buy something is no longer just because it's mura or oh,
it's
it's
good.
good,
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah. It's inexpensive. Yeah.
Yes, it's because it connects with the lifestyle choice that you have. I like these eggs because these chickens had good childhoods, or I like, we like the organic, lifestyle. That's why we go for almond milk.
Mm-hmm.
And even I think with almond milk, I feel like there's different brands who you support, even with people who are going like, I like oat milk, for example, and they go, yeah, but we don't do this brand because they're not environmentally conscious. I've seen
Yeah,
it.
that's true. That's true, and that actually works really for businesses. So I see brand positioning to have two sides of the same coin, right? First side is the one communicated to clients and leads, and then the other
Mm-hmm.
one is within your own company or within your internal team.
Mm.
So I want to talk about the first one, the first side of the coin.
Yeah, the one with the
Um,
customers. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So at Virtua, the first step we took really was understanding the target audience, right? And I'm already telling you guys or telling the audience or the listeners right now how to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to know who are your audiences, what do they need, how do they go about addressing their needs, and then from there you bridge the gap between what these needs are and what you can do to help them fulfill this. So we develop the brand messaging, one that communicates our value
Mm-hmm.
proposition or what makes us different, and one that resonates with
Mm-hmm.
our audience. We realized quickly that our potential clients are looking for more, more cost savings, more agility, more flexibility, more growth, more freed up time and resources, and that's where we, saw the opportunity. That
Which are the
more is
essential
us.
selling points of outsourcing.
Exactly, right? So we are the more they need. So that's how we come up with the more they need or the more you need. So that's the side of the clients and the leads. And then the other side is the internal team within our team. We defined what we
Hmm.
valued as an organization, what we want to do, how we want to do it.
Yeah.
So that's our core values, our mission, our vision. That's how we defined our culture. One thing to note though, when we created this positioning internally, is that we gathered everyone's ideas, but thoughts and opinions.
Yes.
These aren't just words on a website or on a wall somewhere that the leaders or the leadership team dictated. This came from our team, and I think that's really important as to why we have a high retention rate, because our people identified and believed in our values and where we want to go and what we want to do. So the bottom line in branding is that it should be something that you do, but it still has to be people centric, something that people can relate to and remember. So I think that's my piece on the branding side of things.
It definitely makes sense to me. I think for the longest time, I have had some, I think because I didn't know much how to brand, I guess, ourselves. So it was kind of, but there's a lot of outsourcing companies out there. We're just one of them,
Yeah.
and everyone still needs outsourcing. And then now that you explain it, Rome, especially the ones for the internal, now it makes sense to me. It's like, for a person, you did say identity. Yes, I feel like it's also like the personality. In some cases, like it's who you are.
Mm.
Exactly.
For some, it's gonna be hard, and I guess for me back then, if I just rewind a little back, it was hard because we didn't even really think about who we were targeting. It was just
Was it a
everyone's
target?
welcome.
I think the who we are was the harder thing to define. You said earlier, like we're just one out of many outsourcing agencies. Like, did we think we were special? I think that was the hardest question to answer. So I
Yeah, our differentiator. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I fear what we didn't learn and what people should know at this time is that something that you cannot define or have not defined is something that you won't be able to scale because the message will be scattered,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
um
That's
as
true.
per Rome, clear and consistent branding is one of the first things that you really should really should focus on. So clear and consistent
Hmm.
branding across all of your touch points. So yes, Rome, I was gonna say so many digital options. I gave up. I think I gave up when before it was just Facebook ads and Google ads,
Yeah.
but now it's SEO, social media, paid ads, email marketing. You just see me like when we're having our meetings, like I'm overwhelmed, Rom. But how does Virtua decide which channels to prioritize and what approach to balancing? What is your approach to balancing these different growth
Digital marketing
Yes.
channels. Yeah. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest marketing mistakes that business owners make is to try, sorry, is to try to be everywhere. That's not sustainable for businesses,
Mm.
especially startups. They don't have a big marketing machinery or multi-million marketing budgets.
Hmm.
So let me start by stating the fact that you don't necessarily have to be everywhere, just in places where your customers are. So now that you know that, now that you've identified these channels, how do you balance them and optimize them for growth? For me, at least how I see it, it boils down to goals. Each channel plays a different role along the marketing funnel. So instead of
Hmm.
trying to play these channels solo or in silos, they must complement each other. So this is part of what we call life cycle marketing. It's a strategy to ensure that you keep your customers engaged with your brand in all stages of their journey. So for example, let's
Okay.
let's say your goal is conversion, right? Paid ads and
Mm.
search engine optimization or SEO might drive traffic to
Mm-hmm.
your website, but it's email nurturing that converts those visitors into paying customers. Retargeting and social media marketing can keep them coming back to your brand, and then word of mouth
Mm-hmm.
or referrals become an avenue for customers to leave a review and become advocates of your business. So you see, when choosing the channels to be in, you always need to go back to who your audiences are, what you want them to do basically, which is of course to become your customers. So in the case of Virtua, when I came in, we started with the basics, as I've said earlier, the foundations.
Mm-hmm.
We studied where our customers are. We analyzed the numbers, our metrics per channel. So it could be website and SEO, and the social media platforms. We initially didn't have any email marketing efforts rather, and our past paid ads
Mm-hmm.
were focused on brand awareness. So
Yes.
we did capacity planning, we hired people, we worked on process improvements within our operations and filled the gaps within those processes. So we laid out the fundamentals first. And then we pin down our goals, which is of course lead generation in our case. Generating
Mm-hmm.
marketing qualified leads. We gave it our target number, so we have solid tracking. So you have to have this number. I used to hate numbers when I was starting my career, because it's kind of
Because it's
intimidating.
numbers.
Exactly.
What? I don't think it needed
um,
any other.
but when you're
Oh,
tracking,
come on.
when you're trying to track your success or you're trying to accomplish things, I found out that numbers really are essential. So we did that.
Yeah.
We put a number on it, and then we mapped out a customer journey, and then we matched each stage with a marketing channel. So once we've worked on a marketing strategy, we planned that tactics for each channel, what content would go to which channel, how often do we publish or send an email, what are the KPIs or metrics for each channel, which are relevant to our goal, which is lead generation. And then we built timelines. But in terms of timelines, I always put in this, what I call space for grace. This is a time and space
Mm-hmm.
for us to be able to pivot in case there are shifts in the market or changes in our audience, or even when there is
Mm-hmm.
new technology or new features or the algorithmic changes in each platform. So really, when we're trying to balance out channels and optimizing for growth, it's still about the customer. Still about the customer. Our goals and our agility should always scale based on who the customers are and what they do. So you can always try to scale as quickly as possible.
I mean, that makes sense. When you explained that it's a cycle, in my head, I was thinking it's also like an ecosystem where, of course, you track them first, but once they get your website, it has to be on point as well to keep them engaged. And then you also do the email marketing, which is also keeping them engaged, and eventually converting. So it does make sense that you would want to hit them like one at a time, depending on where their journey is
Correct.
in their engagement with us, or where the client journey is when their engagement with us. And I like your point regarding focusing on where your customers are. I think before, marketing to me was like, let's just go ahead and create the hype. Like, let's just go ahead and just put our
Or
name
put
out
out an
there
ad.
without even thinking.
Yeah, put out an ad
Yeah,
or
right. Like,
create a. Uh, I think that was mostly an ad, but I know what you mean. We wanted to do something that says us, but we didn't really say who were we marketing to. I think that was the a big
yeah.
question. Yeah, I mean we knew who we were marketing to, but not that way.
Um, so digital marketing channels, and when we look at all of these marketing channels, you did also mention that when you did a strategy for all of these channels, you did mention about deciding what type of copy goes to which channel. And I think we've always heard this, like we've always heard this, that content is king. And I think that's also one of the strategies, like content marketing. startups or small businesses can use to scale up their businesses. What do you think about content marketing? And has it changed in the last decade?
Definitely. One thing that I need to clarify first when it comes to content
Mm-hmm.
marketing is this. An advice for us, also for fellow marketers out there. Please speak like a human.
Mm-hmm.
I used to believe that to do marketing, I need to sound professional. But people don't
Like
need
business talk, yeah.
exactly. But people don't need perfection. What they're looking for is connection. What they're looking for is at the end of the day is relating to something. So that's what they will remember. So please speak like a human. Now, when doing content marketing, it's important again to go back to people, to your customers, to your ideal, or at least your ideal
Mm-hmm.
ones. There are three
Mm-hmm.
parts to this: educate, build trust, and scale. So when we educate, we try to do so through value adding content, match your
Okay.
audience's intent. I want to emphasize on the value adding because this means you add something to your audience's mind. You're not posting something just for the sake of posting it. So you teach something to them that they can think about or some feel something towards. You speak directly to the challenge they're having, even if they decide that you're not the solution for that problem. Well, at least you imparted something to
Mm-hmm.
them. So when they start thinking about their problems again or encountering their challenges, you're already in their minds. So it's like planting a seed there, a little seed there, and then nurturing that through other marketing channels, like probably email marketing or retargeting. But at least you're there. You're already in their minds. So that's educating through value adding content. Next one is building trust. It involves
Mm-hmm.
mostly other people talking about your brand. So when people leave reviews, brands always appreciate that, whether it's negative or positive, because the people who are not yet familiar with your brand can say, okay, here's something about them that came from an actual user or a customer. And the thing is that while I believe that trust is something you earn, to be trusting is still the
Mm-hmm.
other person's choice. So even if you're putting a lot of these content pieces to build authority, to build trust, there will always be a
Mm-hmm.
point where you don't get that much control. So in those cases, as marketers or business leaders, all we can do really is to create this environment that makes it easier for them to choose to trust. So that means showing, not just telling, being consistent, um, reducing risk and low risk and reducing risk with low risk commitments like free consultations, free trials, or money back guarantees, and personalization and relationship building. So those are the things that we can do to build trust. In terms of scaling, ensure it gets seen by the right people at the right time. It can be in forms of account-based marketing or ABM, as we call it, SEO, blog, or articles or email marketing. There are
Mm-hmm.
tons of options now where you can communicate with your audience. Unlike before, where you just have the television, the newspaper, flyers. Right now, you have tons of options to go to. It's just a matter of knowing where they are, where your audiences are, and how you can approach them without making it feel like you're marketing something to them. Because remember, the best marketing does not feel like marketing at all. So that's the kind of thing that or the kind of mindset that I have when I do content marketing. So yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. I remember like way back when I was little, little. I remember way back when I was little, where you just see the ads from the TV or hear it from the radio or see it from the newspaper. But now there's actually ways for your audience to interact with you through your marketing efforts. So just thinking about that, like maybe not, I can't say real time, but at least that interaction between your audience and us as a company, like doing the marketing efforts, definitely can speed up how we would do our marketing, right? Because now you know how people are feeling about your brand rather than just, okay, let's put ads out there and then just I hope it, we'll do a survey and find out what the sentiment is. Now it's like, it's more of a direct relation with the audience.
Yeah, and it's also important to determine what kind of content would be most impactful for your audience. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in our case, the most impactful content are the ones featuring real people. Number
Cool.
one is this podcast right
Yeah,
now.
agree. Mm-hmm.
Another one is we're featuring our people in team buildings or activities. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and why is this? Why is this the case? Because at the end of the day, people want to talk to people. People don't want to talk to
Mm-hmm.
brands. They're interested in stories, not really in sales. They want to know what's the story behind your company, what are you guys doing. So I think it makes sense that brands would also feature people, real people. It could be users or customers or their own teams, because that's what people are relating to. And at the end of the day, that's what you want to be in their minds. So when they think about their problems, you are on the top of their minds already.
I think that's also the reason why storytelling is so important when it comes to content or content marketing. It's because you're not just putting out stuff there that anyone can read from textbooks or now AI, right? You creating that connection through storytelling, and as you said, people want to connect with people. So to do that, I do agree. Like most of the time when I do post, the posts that do get the most engagement are if there are actual photos, like photos that I've taken or were taken of me, instead of just a quote. Because you see this in LinkedIn, right? Like just a quote and that's it. If I look at the data that I have, it's always going to be a photo, an actual photo that I took, whether it's I was posing on that photo or whether it's a raw type of photo, it always gets the most engagement.
True,
Right.
true. Because at the end of the day, your story is your story, and people want to hear your story instead of the brand story. So yeah.
Rome, how would this tie to you see, I loved hearing all of this, but I'm also curious, how does this tie into uh so now you're thinking long term, but how does this help you build strong customer relationships? Like uh what would your approach be now that you're thinking long game, and then of course you're thinking, or rather, what tools, what changed, what's different, like what would your approach be?
Okay, so I've talked about personalization earlier,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
tailor
Mm-hmm.
fitting your approach to each customer. So people don't want to feel like they are transactions to you or just
Yes.
numbers to you.
Yes.
So it has to have that human factor, I would
Yeah.
say.
And
At
I
Virtual,
guess
we do.
from, sorry, if I could, like, especially for you from a business perspective, like you said, customers don't want to feel like transactions, but in from a business perspective as well, you don't want it to be just a transaction as well, because you've already spent all that effort. You don't want it to be a one-time thing, right?
Correct, correct. So you have to have this sort of nurturing engagement to them. When you're, for example, when you're dating, right? You don't just say, okay, let's go out one time, and then you really like the person. You don't want to go and say, this is it. This is the last time that we're meeting. No, you want to talk to that person every day. You want to make sure that you connect with them. So the same is true with marketing. You also need to have this connection and build that connection through constant or consistent personalization of the experience for them with your brand. And to do this, we do use a CRM, or customer relationship management tool at Virtual, where we
Mm-hmm.
keep all the records of our leads, of our customers. It's really our central hub for when we want to check in what's up with the customer, or what are we trying to do, or what are the leads trying to say, or what do they need. It's also where we study the trends in the industries that they're in, and how key people
Mm-hmm.
within the businesses are interacting with us, what their journey looks like, etc., etc. So when we get granular about their data and really try to get to know these people, we get to build this custom messaging for them. So we can let them know that we
Yeah.
understand their challenges, that we've helped businesses like theirs before.
Y-
And, who says we can't do the same for them, right?
A, I totally agree. B, I would say I defer to your expertise. Like I feel like I understand the basics and why we need it, right? So A, in terms of building the strong relationships, B, the tools that we have introduced since, stuff that I would normally say,
Yeah.
maybe, or do we really have to spend on this? But you can see how it's very, very essential in A, not just, reviewing the funnels that you guys have created, or how each customer can be taken care of, from lead to handoff to everything. But you also mentioned data driven, which is, you know, yeah, I understand. But honestly, the data driven approach is such a game changer for smart scaling. Like, exactly what to target. Exactly. I'm saying words that I heard during meetings, but they're not coming from me. But what does our team, virtuous marketing team, how do we use data to guide our decisions? Like in your case, how do you use it, and what are your examples of this being done to get results?
With data, you always learn something new when you dig into it.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of making assumptions, we let the numbers tell us where we need to improve or pivot. So at Virtual, we check our numbers on a monthly basis and measure it against the target. So for example, right now, we want to increase our website traffic at least 20% month on month. So we did some calculations, formula on Google Sheets or Excel to project whether we'll hit that target number or not. So when we found out, or when we find out that we're not able to do so, if we're doing what we're doing, right? So if we keep on doing these things or maintain the status quo, we're not gonna hit the target. So the whole team brainstormed and discussed what else we can do to hit that number in the next month. So this is where the thing that I mentioned, the space for grace, comes in. So
Mm-hmm.
um, when we try to pivot, because the data is telling us to do so, there always has to have some breathing room, in terms of being able to change the tactics, change the content, change the messaging, change the approach. So that all of that pivot, all of that changes comes from data. Comes from data. So we look at tools like Google Analytics, the analytics in our social media pages. They all these things, they sort of tell a story, and that's what we want to
Yeah.
dig, dig deep, right? Because you always learn something new from this data. So when we found out that, okay, in the SaaS industry, outsourcing is really big because they need more developers, or they need more customer reps to talk to their customers to help
Mm-hmm.
them out. Then we found out, okay, that's actually something that we can do, that we can address. So we pivoted our content, our strategy to push out content, push out the messaging that, hey, you can actually do outsourcing for customer representatives, customer service representatives. So yeah, that data really is an important cog in the marketing machinery of Virtual.
Uh,
When I look, so I'm very, I think both of you know I'm very data driven as
yes,
well.
you are.
But when I look at,
I'm surprised you're
yeah,
human.
yes. I think it's the training with the previous, people that I work with. But when I look at data, it's always, sometimes I try not to take it at face value. Sometimes, the immediate reaction is just to take it. Okay, it's going down. Whatever we're doing now, is it working? But really, it just tells you the story. And what I mean by that is sometimes it's not what you're doing that's bringing the numbers down. Sometimes it's something external, something
It could be
happening, for example, in the
trends,
US. That's
markets.
why,
Yeah.
yeah, right. So, I mean, what I would say, yes, be data driven so that you know where you're starting and then you know where you want to go. and see what you're doing, what if what you're doing or any actions you're taking is actually working or not. But open your eyes up for other possibilities of why that needle is either moving up or down. Data is really to guide you. Because if we don't have data, like even doing dieting, right? If you don't use the scale, it's just all feeling, and it's not very accurate. Like it's all feeling whether you're getting light or not, but because you don't go on the scale. So
Yeah,
use data
I
to
wish
guide
I
you.
wish there were other examples that we could have used, considering I'm not having a good relationship with my weighing scale at the moment. But hey, but yes, data driven. But I would love to take this opportunity uh to pick Rome's brain. It's not a lot that we've done this yet, but we move on to a segment called "What's Your Take?" And now it's a segment that we're taking with Rome. So um, as always, we want to provide listeners with quick, actionable marketing tips that they can use to apply to scale their business. So, um, Penny, do the honors.
So the question we should probably have
A drum
probably
roll.
not a drum roll. Maybe okay. I'm gonna reveal my age. Jeopardy tune. I don't even know if Rome knows what that what that sounds like. But okay, Rome, if you can change one thing about marketing, what would it be, and why that thing?
Hmm. I wish if I could change one thing about marketing, I wish people would stop thinking of marketing as linear. It's not always a three-step process of awareness, engagement, and conversion, because there are factors affecting the customer journey, like timing, readiness of the customer, industry or market
Mm,
changes. Some people will take a step back from conversion and decide they're not ready, and that's okay. Marketing's job really is to ensure that the brand is on top of their minds once they're ready to buy. So I think we should all stop thinking that marketing is awareness, engagement, conversion, because it's not. In reality, it's not.
that's actually because just so you know, that's what I thought about marketing as well. So I'm gonna change that, especially because you said it. But, but let me ask this back to the audience, to our listeners. So if you could change one thing about marketing, what would it be and why? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please drop your answers in the comments below or tag us on social media with your thoughts.
Absolutely. And Rome, I think it was long overdue to have you here. Long overdue to have
Yeah,
people
it was.
hear about your instincts and your thoughts. I would say uh, um, it's one thing to understand how to scale your business uh, through effective marketing strategies. So one thing that we would do, right, strategy data, focusing on customer relationships. I would say thank you so much for sharing that insight, your experience. We truly appreciate, and we are so lucky to have you with us. I'm sure our listeners will be walking away with some game-changing data tips to apply to their own businesses. So I
I feel like I went to a master class
I
of marketing. Don't you
exactly
feel that
that's what
way?
I was
Because
thinking. Like I should have paid for this, but then I realized I am.
let's sell it. No, I'm kidding. Oh yes, you are also paying for
Yes,
this
exactly.
business. Okay, but
I-
but yeah. So thank you so much, Rome. If you guys want to connect with Rome or learn more about how Virtual Solutions has scaled, be sure to check out the links in the show notes below.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that's it for today's episode of Business. But the conversation doesn't end
Please,
here.
please, please keep the buzz going. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Send us your thoughts and let's talk business.
And remember, you can find us, Business, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and YouTube. So listen anytime and anywhere.
Until next time, guys, keep building, keep learning, keep making your mark. And this has been Francis and Penny, and this has been an
And
episode with Rome. Thank you guys so much for having us today. We will see you next time.
See you in the next episode.
Bye,
Bye.
Rome. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.